Welcome to the question and responses on sleep. Now, please like this video and please subscribe to our channel. It's going to help us grow and help spread this vital life-saving information. Question 1 from Grow Younger Now. Just wondering how to go about when we have every night several hours of Zoom we need to attend. Do you try to sleep 6 hours prior to the Zoom if possible, or catch up a few hours after the Zoom? What's your best recommendations? The best thing, and it's tough because I work with patients from around the world. So they're working in different time zones. So there's the same solution for people that are pilots, flight attendants, people that work on different time zones. Okay, and that's huge. So reset your circadian rhythms. So the Zoom will interrupt melatonin production. It's going to do a lot. You can get blue blocking glasses that may help a little bit to decrease that drop in melatonin. Melatonin doesn't initiate sleep. It just makes that REM period of sleep longer. So when you're done with the Zoom, do all of the things that are required to get deep sleep. So journal. In journal, you're going to write down 3 things: what you did that day, what you're going to do the next day, and any emotionally charged event. Then you're going to read a paper book 15 minutes before bed, but it can't be anything exciting. Something really boring, like the book of Numbers out of the Bible, how to assemble a refrigerator. It's something where you can get rhythmic motion and holding it so that way your eyes have different focus. Then put the nightshades on. Turn the white noise machine on. You get a white noise application on the cell phone. YouTube's fine for that, but make sure it's set at 528 hertz. And then set your cell phone more than a meter away from your head. So when you're quieting the overactive mind by journaling, you're reading a paper book 15 minutes before bed. Then diaphragmatic breathe while you're laying there. In and out, 10 diaphragmatic breaths. So that's going to have a calming effect and also oxygenate the brain. And you've got to wear eye coverings, or it has to be so dark you can't see your hand in front of your face. Manta eye shades are one of my favorites because they conform to every curve that you have. They'll fit every kind of nose. So you journal, you read, you put the nightshades on. Blue blocking glasses will help. But then you cannot catch up on sleep. It's really hard. So when you're working, 2 days, and believe me, I'll work, 20 hours in a row, and you can't catch up on the lost sleep that you had the night before. So just reset your circadian rhythms, limit your sleep to 6 hours a night for 21 days. And that's a way to reset it. But since you're doing Zooms on a regular basis, make sure that you're getting at least 6.5 to 7.5 hours is perfect. To reset your circadian rhythms, you're going to drop that down to 6 hours. But do that prep work. Do the journaling, the reading, the nightshades, the white noise. Do the diaphragmatic breathing while you're calming your brain down, and then visualize. Don't visualize the Zoom. Don't visualize the conversation that you had. Your mind can take you to different places. So start to go to activate the limbic system, which is the emotional center of the brain. So start in your mind going to a place that you find joy, that you find love and contentment. And it could be a past memory of water skiing or walking through the forest where you can smell the pine trees and you can feel that crush of the pine needles underneath your feet, or when you dive in that beautiful ocean, or when you're holding your sweetheart. I mean, anything to tap into that limbic system to get your brain out of that Zoom mindset of solving problems and gathering data. Get into that place of joy. So you're dealing with the physical and chemical stress by diaphragmatic breathing. You're calming down the subconscious with the journaling. You're reading a paper book, and your diaphragmatic breathing while you're calming your system down to get into that parasympathetic state. And when you practice this, you're going to get better at it. And I'm telling you, deep sleep after a high stressful day is a skill set that you can develop. But remember, you've got that physical, chemical, and emotional stress. Also, after the Zoom, if you can go for, say, a half-hour walk, that movement and symmetrical movement may also calm you down. It really depends on how stressful the Zoom is. But let me know how you're doing and activate those things right now. Initiate those. Question 2 from Kayla Reiser. Wait, how does more than 9 hours sleep damage the brain? Does that go for children? No, children are different. Children are regenerating their body. This is why you don't want to do any interventions that create an inflammatory response in a kid. They're not designed to handle that. So make sure that the kid gets a good meal, okay, with healthy fats and healthy proteins, and this will initiate their digestion. Kids, you're looking at 8 hours of sleep. Okay, so don't worry about the 9 hours of sleep, particularly when you're talking about babies, because they're spending a lot of their energy to generating a healthy body. And so that's why kids sleep and they get in that parasympathetic, which is rest, digest, and repair and regenerate. It's literally the regeneration. So kids do need more. 9 hours of sleep or more for an adult means that the brain isn't getting that stimulus. So you're not maximizing on sleep. What you want, look at sleep as the most important part of your day. This is when your energy is going to regeneration. So prepare your mind for that sleep. Do the journaling, the reading, so you're preparing your mind. Do diaphragmatic breathing while you're falling to sleep. And wear blue blocker glasses. Don't watch TV, computers, TV, cell phones, iPads, none of those things before bed. And also do that sleep restrictive therapy, limiting your sleep to 6 hours a night for 21 days. It's like hitting a reset button on your computer. But just know that brain needs constant stimulus. And you're going to see when the brain doesn't get that stimulus that you're going to start to see movement. So in kids, you're going to see their leg bouncing. Okay, in adults, you're going to see that. You're going to see some movement disorders. And that's all the brain trying to calm down because it needs that stimulus. The brain needs that stimulus. So having long periods of not moving, okay, and not getting that stimulus can negatively affect that brain function. And this is why we give cross-crawl exercises to 100% of our patients. Because when we do the adjustment, we're literally altering that brain's communication to the body. And that brain controls every function. That central nervous system controls every function of the body, controls hormone production, controls everything. And so this is why the brain and central nervous system is so gosh darn important. Question 3, is acupuncture an effective consideration in cases of extreme insomnia? Acupuncture is great, and it works on a different philosophy. It's that there's a balance, and anytime you do a stimulus in a certain part of the body, you're affecting the brain. And just think of this. If you're pinching your finger, you're actually doing you're stimulating these Pacinian corpuscles, which are pressure sensors. And this is actually making an electrical and chemical change in a part of the brain. Now, there's homologous columns of neurons that fire together. So if I can stimulate an area in the brain, and this is why acupuncture will say, well, this is the heart function, the kidney function. They're going to find different areas of the body that they can stimulate or affect, and then that causes a chemical change in the brain. They're going to not talk about the neurotransmitter production or homologous columns of neurons. What they're doing is they're balancing the energies and the forces of the body. So it's a brilliant philosophical approach to the body. Way better philosophy than a chemical to alter your physiology. I mean, that's what medicines do, and that's a dysfunctional system. You can see every medication typically causes the symptom it's designed to treat. But I'm a big fan of acupuncture. Love the philosophy. Question 4 from Gloria70X. Dr. Bergman, can you address a 3 to 5 day fast would do for many or most of the conditions, including insomnia? Chiropractic so far hasn't helped me with sleep. Thanks a bunch, and God bless you. God bless you too, Gloria. So when you look at this, or Glory, when you look at this, chiropractic, there's a couple of different types. Actually, there's a variety of chiropractic. And it doesn't mean that what the people that do an objective analysis, the chiropractors, are doing something right and other people are doing something wrong. It's balancing out that nervous system, freeing the nervous system of interference. And what we recommend is the 7 questions. Like, do you take an X-ray? Do you to document what you're finding? Okay, to find a problem. Do you take a second X-ray to document that you corrected the problem? So this way you're getting a permanent correction, but a permanent correction of the spinal misalignments changes that brain's communication to the body and the body's communication to the brain. So you might not be getting an objective correction or an analysis in the chiropractic care. So use our 7 questions. Can the chiropractor reverse arthritis? Do they work on post-surgery cases? Do they work on seniors and kids? So it's just a different level of skill and focus. And the intention of the chiropractor is vital for everything. And so if they're just finding a tender spot and pushing or hearing a pop, making you feel better, that's cool. Okay, but it's not correction. And a fast is amazing. What happens to the body when they get low nutrients? The body goes into repair immediately. And it's fantastic. And this is why that the human being is not designed to have 3 meals every day all the time. And this is why people that do intermittent fasting, it's more appropriate for your hunter-gatherer physiology. Your hunter-gatherer physiology is feast and famine, feast and famine. And in fact, in most of the chronic illnesses and diseases that we work with, we recommend fasting 2 non-consecutive days a week. And so this does, under that low nutrient, the body goes in and focuses its energy on repair. Just absolutely fantastic, particularly when you're talking about modern industrialized societies. We have a nutrient-poor, calorie-rich food system. They call it the SAD diet, Standard American Diet. So look at the diet, look at fasting has absolutely amazing. Because that does initiate that repair process. And use our 7 questions. All you got to do is find somebody, a chiropractor, that says yes to 5 of the 7. Then you've got an objective analysis. That's our focus on our care at all of my clinics. Question 5 from Carol McDonald. I haven't slept well in 38 years. Absolutely. I haven't slept more than 10 minutes a night for the past 15 or so years. Super common. This is classic insomnia. The only thing that helps me is to eat a totally raw diet, stay out in the sun, and keep myself hydrated. Those are excellent choices. One of the things I read about 30 years ago is studies out of Glasgow, Scotland, where people that hadn't slept in over 30 years, so I mean, this is you, within 5 days they were sleeping through the night. But they did that sleep restrictive therapy, and this is the toughest thing to go through because you're changing a habit pattern that's been with you over a quarter of a century. So, and just know, changing habit patterns take time. It takes literally 21 days to hit that reset button on the brain. But no, lack of sleep has a similar effect as alcohol. So when you're doing the sleep restrictive therapy to reset those circadian rhythms, know that your reaction time is going to be impaired. Adjust your lifestyle accordingly because it is hard. And so when you're doing that prep work before bed, no TVs, no cell phones, no computers, no iPads, none of that stuff. And then you have to quiet the mind by journaling. And you're going to write down 3 things: what you did that day, what you're going to do the next day, and any emotionally charged event. And this works on patients who you can't read their writing. Parkinson's, MS, people who don't have fine motor control where you can't read what they're writing. But the fact they're thinking a thought, putting a mark on a paper, calms that subconscious. Then you have to read a paper book 15 minutes before bed, something boring. Book of Numbers out of the Bible is the best. King James Version is even better. Ezra begat this, begat that. Okay. So, or how to assemble a refrigerator. I mean, anything boring, because if I pick up, let's say a Zane Grey Western or something, I'm going to want to keep reading it till the end. So read something boring and then realize your brain and body goes through these 90-minute cycles. When you complete that 90-minute cycle, your eyes open and then they close. And if there's enough light to see your hand in front of your face, that fight or flight system kicks up, fires off the muscles that go from the skull down to the sacrum. And this is why people have to roll over because they're uncomfortable, or they have to get up to urinate because that fight or flight, they got to evacuate the bladder because they're getting ready for the fight or flight system to run away from danger. So calming down that brain, getting white noise set at 528 hertz, sleeping on a grounded surface, fantastic. The direct sunlight exposure is, again, excellent because that's going to help vitamin D, but also look at fatty foods, fatty fishes that also have high vitamin D levels. A hot bath before bed is also a great way to calm that system down. But it does take 21 days to reset that habit pattern. But limiting your sleep to 6 hours a night for 21 days is exceptionally important. Exceptionally important. And let me know how you're doing. Question 6 from Judith Walters. I'm exhausted and ready for bed by 11. I go to bed and I'm up and down all night. It just keeps getting worse. I feel like I want to run out of my own skin. It drives me nuts. Absolutely. I try to set aside and swing on the front porch about an hour before bed. I find it relaxing. It's so quiet outside. As soon as I lay down, my anxiety goes nuts. I will not tell my doctor. Okay, this is perfect. This is also what we recommend to stimulate kids so that they can fall asleep. Now, think of this. Okay, when you put a kid in a car seat, what happens? The vibration, sound, light overstimulate, and then they fade out. So that rocking back and forth is stimulating these semicircular canals in the inner ear, and this calms the subconscious down. It's absolutely fantastic. So movement is going to be fantastic. Think about not at 10 o'clock, but think about 8 o'clock at night, going for a half hour symmetrical walk. Do also diaphragmatic breathing, 10 breaths every hour, all throughout the day. Look at eating healthy proteins or healthy fats. All of those are harder to digest than carbohydrates, and it's going to initiate that. Anything you can initiate in the gut area, that gut is under parasympathetic control, and that's rest, digest, and repair. But knowing that movement helps, it means that there is also some type of structural issue. And so get your spine checked. You know, we got physical, chemical, emotional stress. Get in a thorough X-ray evaluation, static and stress X-rays of your cervical spine, thoracic, pelvis area. Because if you have a structural misalignment, that could cause the cerebral spinal fluid produced in the brain not to flow down. And you may notice this, and this is kind of cool. On the very top of the head, not on the front, but right in the middle going in the back, if you have a tender spot there, where it's not tender here, but tender right in the middle, that typically indicates intracranial pressure elevated. And that brain burns 90% of the body's oxygen. And it does that by creating its own food called cerebral spinal fluid. And that fluid is produced in the brain and drains through this big hole in the back called foramen magnum down the neck. So if you have a structural alteration, loss of curve, reverse curve, forward head carriage, lateral deviation, any of those, that's going to interrupt that cerebral spinal flow and put you in a physical stress state. And 90% of the nerves exiting the spine have no pain fibers. So you may have that structural misalignment that you can see on static and stress X-rays, but you cannot feel it because your body has adapted. I can't tell you how many patients say, no, man, my neck is fine. I don't have any pain whatsoever. And this is why you have to do an objective analysis to see what state your structure is in. And then if you can get a nerve scan, heart rate variability is amazing. Okay, and we do that again on every patient to identify if there is in a stress state. Then we do a live blood cell analysis because those red blood cells under stress, they start to overlap. They lose their electronegative charge, and that means they can't hold oxygen. Also, that diaphragmatic breathing is going to be ideal. So look at your structure, check for a tender spot on the top of the head, do the diaphragmatic breathing, and look at movement. The key to what's effective on you is that movement helps. And that movement of the rocking stimulates that calming effect. It gets stimulus into the brain, so that brain is hungry for stimulus, and that's why you're getting where you want to run out of your skin. I'm with you. And if you when you do get the X-rays, and look at the X-rays that we recommend, it's on our drbvip.com site, Dr. B VIP, and get those X-rays, and I'll help you interpret them. And if your chiropractor needs a hand, let me know, and I'll show them how to address it. Now, if your question wasn't answered here, because we still do have to self-censor, please, thank you so much for the questions, but go to our Dr. B VIP site, and there I can answer freely without self-censoring. God bless you all. Stay healthy, my friends.